Hey everyone, Austin here again with another Let's Play video. Today it's going to be the iconic Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo Entertainment System. Now this is yet another one of those videos that I've actually done in the past, or one of those games I've already played through in the past on this channel, but with the new capture setup I figured I'd go ahead and revisit it and sort of update the video quality on it and just go through the game again. You know, it's been several years since I last played through this game on YouTube, and I always enjoy playing the original Super Mario Brothers. This was my personal first Super Mario game pretty much ever, and it's actually been one of my most played over the last, I guess, 30 years now since I have first played it. So yeah, we're going to actually go through the entire game, much like I did in my original Let's Play many years ago, and I don't think we're going to experience too many issues. I am not going to take Warp Zone, so this is going to be a full run of the classic Super Mario Brothers. So before we jump into the game, as usual, I want to thank my current Patreon supporters and anyone that has supported me on Patreon up to this point. So yeah, I'm going to flash your names across the screen. Thanks a lot, guys, for your continued support. If anyone's interested in supporting me through Patreon, information's in the description box below. Did I just stutter? I think I did. I actually just worked a 12-hour shift, and I'm doing this Let's Play as of getting home from work, and so I'm a little tired right now, so we'll see how we can do this. Funny enough, I did actually run through this game yesterday, and but I ended up running into technical difficulties, which caused me to lose the entire Let's Play. So extremely frustrating stuff. But that's actually how my Castlevania Let's Play was birthed, is I ended up doing that because my Super Mario Bros. Let's Play completely failed. So, yeah, I'll just try to figure out stuff to talk about. I did want to actually mention that one of my goals on Patreon, since I already brought that up, was to start covering Nintendo games again. So, you guys that have been following my channel for a little while have probably noticed I haven't really been doing a whole lot of Nintendo properties on this channel. And the reason is that Nintendo likes to copyright claim a lot of their stuff. And if you're doing reviews and things like that, you're generally fine on YouTube with Nintendo stuff. I mean, total fair use. But Let's Plays are still kind of a gray area. Most companies don't seem to have a problem with them, but certain companies, like Nintendo, do. And if you do a Let's Play of, or a full playthrough or anything like that, of one of their main properties, like Zelda or Mario or you know, games like that, it's probably going to get copyright claimed, and what's going to happen is Nintendo's going to monetize your video, and that's it. So, since I knew that Nintendo was probably going to monetize this video, much like they did my other Super Mario Bros. Let's Plays from many years ago, my goal on Patreon was, if I made a certain amount a month on Patreon, I would forego monetization on these videos, since the monetization will most likely go to Nintendo. And, so that'll help make up for the fact that, you know, I can't monetize my own work, basically. And so yeah, this is actually our first Nintendo playthrough, Nintendo property playthrough, thanks to that Patreon goal. Relatively small goal, but I was actually surprised we reached it so quickly. I didn't know that many of you guys wanted to support me on Patreon, and so thank you very much, guys, for making that happen. And here we are doing Super Mario Brothers. I do intend on visiting other Nintendo properties in the future. I want to do Super Mario Brothers 2 and 3, as well as the Lost Levels, or technically Super Mario Brothers 2 in Japan. And then Mario 2 USA, aka our Super Mario Bros. 2 from North America. I also hope to visit games like Kid Icarus, Punch-Out. I'd like to beat Punch-Out for the first time, and I'd love to do a Let's Play on that afterwards. And maybe even do some like early black box stuff, which would be fun. Like, I'm pretty sure the Donkey Kong games will probably get copyright claimed, but I'd love to do a Let's Play where I try to go as far into those games as I possibly can. That would be fun. But I'd also love to visit and do full playthroughs of the Legend of Zelda series. The first two on the NES anyway. Those were heavily played games of mine as a kid. And so I definitely look forward to doing those. Zelda 2 in particular, that's the one I actually end up coming back to the most. I do come back to both frequently, but Zelda 2 I actually come back to more than the first one, surprisingly. So yeah, Super Mario Brothers, guys. Man, what an iconic game. This is just, I have so many memories of this game. This was actually the first video game I ever completed. This is the first game I ever beat. I got my NES, I don't want to to say, I think it was probably 87. I think I was about 5. I want to say it was either my 5th or 6th birthday, I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm going to have to like verify it with my parents, but I'm pretty sure it was 87 or 88. And they were still selling the deluxe set. Not deluxe. Was it deluxe set? I totally forget. Or was it the action set? It basically came with Super Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt. It came with a light gun and the console and 2 controllers. And mine actually came with the gray gun. And, you know, I guess due to... there may have been... God, what do you call it? There's a point where Nintendo turned the gun to orange. They basically started manufacturing orange light guns instead of the gray ones. I guess maybe because it probably looked a little less like a real gun. Not that the Zapper really looked like a real gun to begin with. Yeah, so I got my console with the gray gun, so I'm not sure if it was at 87 or 88. I don't think they were selling the gray gun models by 89. But yeah, needless to say, I got it at a pretty young age. I was born in 82, so when I got the system, Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt was the first game I got with it, and as such, Super Mario Brothers was actually the first game I ever finished. I never had a console prior to this where you could really finish games. I mean, I guess you could, like, you know, Adventure on the Atari 2600, technically you could finish. I don't think I ever did, even though it's not a long game at all. Pitfall technically has an end, you know, the timer ends if you can get to, you know, all the way through. You basically just keep playing until the timer ends. Although there is actually a finite amount of screens in that game, which is a topic for another game, which I found kind of interesting. I didn't know that until I got a little bit older and started going to places like Atari Age. But yeah, I don't think there were really many other games I played back then that could actually be finished. A lot of them just looped over and over and over again. On the Atari 2600. We did have an Atari 2600 before I got my NES, and yeah, they were all just mostly arcade-style, you know, action games for the most part, with the occasional puzzle game. Like, my dad liked, I know this isn't related to Super Mario Brothers at all, guys, I apologize, but my dad loved 3D Tic-Tac-Toe, so not every game we had was a action game, but pretty much all the games I remember were action, arcade-style games, that never ended. Yeah, so Super Mario Bros. Was the very first game I ever beat. I remember my mom was actually working at home at the time, and I guess, yeah, she worked for a local contractor, and I guess she sort of acted as their secretary. It was a small operation, but it was a nice gig for my mom, and I want to say they probably ended up going, yeah, I think he filed for bankruptcy, which is why she had to stop doing that job, which was a shame, because it really worked out for her at the time. But I beat Super Mario Brothers. I think I was my first year in kindergarten, and I beat Super Mario Brothers. Back then, I'm not sure how kindergarten is nowadays, but back then, kindergarten was just a half-day affair. So you were either on the morning schedule or you were on the afternoon schedule. And I think I was on the afternoon schedule. And what happened is I was playing the Nintendo before I went to school, and ended up beating Super Mario Brothers before I went to school. And obviously, it was, as a 5 or 6 year old or whatever, it was a huge accomplishment for me. And my mom let me call my dad at work, and we celebrated, and it was like, oh, I beat Super Mario Brothers, blah blah blah. And my dad probably didn't really care, because I don't know. But to me, it was a special moment in my gaming life. And yeah, that really, you know, Super Mario Brothers in general actually just kind of set me on the course that led me to where I am today, really. You know, when the Nintendo Entertainment System came out, I was kind of like a normal kid. You know, we had a 2600, we played it quite frequently, but I still went outside. I played a lot. We had lots of friends in the neighborhood, lots of kids and so forth I grew up with. And but once the NES came out, that's when I started going outside much less frequently. I would play the Nintendo at any given opportunity that I possibly could. If my parents ever gave me the option to play the Nintendo, I would probably play the Nintendo instead of doing something else like going outside and playing, like I probably should have done. but and that just led me into, you know, future video game habits where, you know, video games pretty much became my primary and #1 hobby for a very, very long time. It's kind of come full circle, actually, because it again is, once again, my #1 and most done hobby, most experienced hobby, I don't know. Most consistent hobby, I should probably say. But man, yeah, oof. I'm just sort of reminiscing here. My first Let's Play, I will admit, was actually a hell of a lot better than this one, because I was actually talking about the game itself immediately. It's a real shame I lost that, because it was a really good run, too. We had some really good close calls, which, you know, is great to capture in a video like this, because they don't happen that often. Yeah, we had some really great close calls there in that first playthrough, but unfortunately it is lost to time, and that's why technical difficulties really suck. And that's one of the downsides to doing what I do here on YouTube, is there's been countless videos I've just lost over time because of hardware issues. Like for me, for Super Mario Brothers here, it was actually a capture card issue. It said it was recording, but it wasn't actually recording. Yeah. So I did the entire playthrough and then saw that, the timer's not moving even though it says it's recording. This is kind of a red flag. I use the Elgato Game Capture HD, by the way. HD 60S now, actually, on this laptop I'm recording from. And, so yeah, went to go check for the footage on the hard drive, and sure enough, it was not there. So I basically had to dick around with, you know, uninstalling drivers, installing the latest version of the software, and things like that. And this is something I've never had an issue with before on this particular software, this version of software. And but I seem to run into issues frequently. Like 2 weeks ago, I was trying to stream on my weekly pinball stream on a Twitch channel, and I loaded up my capture card, and it said it didn't recognize the USB 3.0 device. It said there was no USB 3.0 installed. So my Game Capture HD 60S is a USB 3.0 device. It requires USB 3.0. So if it doesn't have it, if it doesn't recognize it, then it doesn't work. It can't work. So, and that's what happened. So right before my stream, I had to uninstall the USB 3.0 driver, reinstall the software, and this stuff just crops up out of nowhere. I don't know why this stuff starts breaking like this. I really kind of miss, almost kind of like the old days of video games where stuff just worked. I kind of miss the older days of computing where my devices just freaking worked. And it's especially more noticeable now that I do YouTube and Twitch and live streaming so often that when things break, it's even more damaging than it was before. I wasn't just losing my ability to play a game, I lost actual work and time I put into, you know, making these videos. And yeah, these Let's Plays aren't very difficult, but with my schedule, you know, it's hard to fit them into my schedule sometimes. And, you know, so I make that time to do them, and that's just, I just crapped away like, you know, 2 hours basically of my life. And then had to crap away another 2 hours of my life because I had to do another video in place of the one that failed to record. And this is so off track from actual Super Mario Brothers conversation, but like I said, this is one of those games I've already done a Let's Play on, so I guess it's okay for the topics to be all over the place. But yeah. So like I said, we're gonna pretty much skip the warp zones, but there is a warp zone here. We've already skipped multiple warp zones, and there's actually 2 warp zones on World 4-2 here that we're on. So one of them, one of the famous ones, is right here. You go up the beanstalk there, and that'll take you to a warp zone that will skip you to World 8. I think you can go to either 6, 7, or 8. So right here, I actually want to fall back down, because if I take that top route, that'll take me to another warp zone. It'll force me to World 5-1, and I don't want that, so... So one thing I like about playing Super Mario Bros. All the way through is, aside from allowing my OCD tendencies kick in stages like this, where I just try to punch all the blocks that I can, that's just, oh, Super Mario Bros. Is so good in that regard. You can just get lost punching random blocks for all eternity, and it never gets old. It never, ever gets old. Yeah, I like playing the game from start to finish. Back when I was younger, I would typically just use the warp zones. And look at that, we got 10 lives now. So when you go over 10 lives, or when you get to 10 lives, the game starts using different like icons to denote how many lives you have. And I'm guessing that might have been just like a programming issue or something like that, not a oops. That was... I thought I could jump up there, but that was dumb. So what I should have done is actually walked on back onto the left one. If you sit on those platforms for too long, they basically snap off the wires, and they'll both fall off the screen. And that's what I should have done. I should have let the other one, or let both of them fall off the screen, like I'll demonstrate it here once I get this mushroom. So just like this, let it snap like that, and... then that would have given me room to jump over to this platform right here. So. But yeah, when I was younger, I would typically go through the game with the warp zones. I would kind of brag about how I could beat the game in like 10 minutes, which you can do. I actually want to try something here. Hey, look at that, it works. I had a feeling it would work. Ooh. I didn't realize that was the exit pole. So there are some parts of the levels where, you know, the exit pole area is set up in a very specific way. So if you want to get to the top of the pole, which will give you the most amount of points, what you want to do is time your jumps properly and so forth. And so that one was actually kind of interesting. That just came out of nowhere because it had the rising, floating platform. And I just wasn't paying attention to that. So this is actually the first of castles that forces you to sort of choose the right path. And so in the first part, you have to take the top way, and then that's pretty much it. This one right here, I'm pretty sure you come down here and run to the right, and then that should solve, whoops, this puzzle. And we can jump over Bowser here. So I believe from World 5 and on, Bowser starts throwing hammers. So he's much more difficult. It's harder to just jump over him unless you're, you know, Big Mario. When you're Big Mario, if you take a hit, you actually have a couple of seconds of invincibility time. So even if you try to jump over Bowser and he hits you with his hammers, you'll turn small and invincible for a few moments, and you can just run through him and hit the axe, which causes the bridge to fall under him, and he falls to his death. So Super Mario Brothers is, oh man, I'm just getting all sidetracked in this Let's Play. But Super Mario Brothers is just, it's just such a fun game for me. It's very simplistic, but there's just, like, the level design is so good in this game. The gameplay is very, very tight, and it's one of the things I really, really like about this game. You've got inertia and stuff like that. You got variable jump heights, like the lighter you tap the button, the smaller you jump, and so you have lots of control over, like, your movement in this game. Mario can stop on a dime, basically. Now, he does a little bit of a slide, but it's the same kind of slide every time, and it's less of a slide based on your movement. And so it's one of those things where it's just like, you have so much flexibility with your movement and whatever and whatnot. And it's even like, you know, over 30 years after this game came out, it still feels so good. It's still a really tight game that's a ton of fun to play. It's interesting to go back and think about this game and also see, like, where the series basically began. Yeah, there was Mario Bros, the arcade game, which had some elements that would eventually be featured in this game, like the slippery movement and things like that. So there we go. We actually got hit by a hammer brother, but like I said, you're invincible for a few moments after you take a hit. So if you ever take a hit on those guys, don't stop. Just keep moving and move through them, basically. So this is actually... Oh, yeah, that's tricky. That was a tough pattern there. The hammer brother from behind, his hammers were going... Yeah, it was making a pattern that was difficult to dodge, but I could have actually dodged it. I should have dodged it. So, there we go. So these guys, you want to wait until they get up top, and then you want to just knock them off, and that's just the easiest way to deal with them. And a lot of times when there's multi-leveled platforms there, a lot of times there's like a mushroom or a star or something like that. Mushrooms will turn into fire flowers if you're already big. And the fire flower, obviously, you know, very typical of Super Mario Brothers. The whole series lets you throw fireballs. It basically started with this one. Fireballs were a thing in Mario Bros, the arcade game, but they were enemies. They were just fireballs would, you know, bounce across the screen and stuff like that. But in Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario and Luigi could throw fireballs with the fire flower, which is pretty cool. And yeah, this game is just so much fun. So much fun. I love going back to this game. I actually, when I do long Nintendo streams on Twitch, a lot of times I'll actually come back and play this game on stream. Because it doesn't take that long to go through. It's always pretty relaxing for me to play. It's one that's pretty easy to talk and play to at the same time. Probably because I've just played it so much over the years. It's just, you know, I kind of play this game, just, I don't know, naturally. I don't know if it's the muscle memory or whatever, but just very easy for me to talk and play this one at the same time. So yeah, we're on World 5-4. This is where things start really, I guess, becoming really tricky. So in these castles, you've got more of these fireball, rotating things. I'm sure there's an actual name for them. So things are much more tricky. Unfortunately, if you've got the fire flower... Okay, it looks like he doesn't throw hammers on World 5. It looks like it's World 6 that he starts throwing hammers. Okay, good to know. Yeah, if you have the fire flower, this game is a whole lot easier than it is if you don't have the fire flower. At least on the castles. You know, on normal levels themselves, it's really not a big deal if you don't have the fire flower. But on the castles themselves, you know, Bowser, for instance, you can attack him from a distance, and you can just destroy him from a distance. And that's really the easiest way to deal with Bowser. And if you're having troubles with this game, I would recommend trying to get to Bowser with the fire flower, and then just basically sniping him from a distance. And, so look at how, like, fast and smooth you can go through this game. Granted, I'm timing my jumps just right, so your timing has to be good, but man, when you get into, like, the rhythm and flow of this game, it is so satisfying. And, oh, it just kind of takes me back to when this game came out. Like, I had only really played the Atari 2600 at that point in time, and seeing just Mario in action was just really something to behold. Maybe it was because I was young still, you know, I wasn't like in my teens, or wasn't really at that point in my life where I could be jaded in any form, in any way, really. But yeah, I mean, man, the smooth scrolling, just like the scope of the game felt so much larger than anything that had come before it. And you know, I don't think I really thought much of it at the time, but like the controls are so fluid that like that must have had like a subconscious effect on me. Because it is still really a joy to play today with just how fluid it controls and how fluid it moves. And you know, I think there's a reason this game really took off. I mean, it could be a situation of right place, right time, but man, just playing it decades later, and this isn't nostalgia talking, it's just, it feels really awesome. Like, you know, it's so good. Like, the movement and the controls, and you know, they really, you know, hit this one out of the park. And then obviously Super Mario Bros. Set the bar for, or I should say it set the, yeah, I guess I should say it set the bar for like future Mario games, you know, and many elements that basically started in this game, oops, many elements that started in this game would basically become staples of, you know, the franchise even up until now. You know, the fire flower, the flagpoles, things like that. The Koopa Troopas, the Goombas, you know, hitting the Koopa Troopas, they go inside their shells and you kick them, they can knock out other enemies down, and then just flattening the Goombas and things like that. You know, the mushroom making Mario big, and the fire flower allowing him to throw projectiles, and all that stuff is... Hell, these fireball arm rotating things are still in modern Super Mario games. So many things started with this game, and yeah, what a hell of a start, you know? Who would have ever guessed that it would have led to such a legacy? I don't think anybody would have guessed back then. But going back and playing the first Super Mario Bros., it's still a fantastic game. If you're into more straightforward arcade-style games, this is just a really, really solid game. So yeah, we're on World 7-1 now, and I have to say this has probably been one of my most discombobulated Let's Plays in quite some time. I came home from work today and I was like, do I record this Let's Play? I was gonna actually stream on Twitch to do some Let's Play practice. Oh! Random extra life. I didn't know that was there. There are some extra lives in this game that are just kind of like, they appear randomly. I don't know if it's based on like your score or how much time you have left or something like that. But some extra lives won't appear. It just depends. Like there's one extra life on 4-1 that I was trying to hit for, or trying to jump to get in this playthrough, and it just wasn't appearing. But in the past, it has appeared. So it's just, I know there's some rhythm and rhyme to certain extra lives appearing. So like that one I found, I don't even know if I found that one before. I definitely haven't gotten it in recent playthroughs. That's for sure. So that definitely caught me off guard. Yeah, I thought about just doing some Let's Play practice. There, you know, my Castlevania Let's Play was basically the first Let's Play I've recorded in a month now. That whole fighting game stint I did, most of those were recorded, I think, within a 2-day time span. So it was like 4 or 5 Let's Plays I did back to back within 2 days. It was gonna be 6, but then one of them just, I found out I wasn't able to capture it properly. It just kept causing issues with my capture card due to like shifting resolutions. That's an issue you start running into when you start trying to capture, you know, PlayStation and Saturn era games, unfortunately. Which is why you haven't seen me do Let's Plays of certain games, because they don't play nicely with my capture card. But yeah, I thought about doing a live stream practice session because I need to record more Let's Plays, and that's. But I decided, you know, I played Super Mario Bros. Yesterday, and I'm warmed up with it. I might as well just go ahead and record it, and we'll just see how it goes. Whoops! I jumped a little too high there. I knew that was probably going to happen. But that's where your variable jump heights come into play. You can pretty much, you know, stop going up whenever you want. And it's very responsive in that regard. Like, you know, you don't just float up forever, like, or seemingly forever, like you do in some other games that have, like, sort of floaty physics. Oh, that was... I lost control with that. Those enemies are called Cheep Cheeps, and they come up, and if you're sitting on the ground and they just come up right underneath you, you will attack them, you will kill them, they won't kill you. But what happened is I was in the air when he touched my feet, which caused me to do a little sort of baby hop, and when you do that, when you hop off enemies like that, you don't really have any control. So you gotta watch out for that on this stage. And having the flyer flower, the fire flower, definitely helps a lot because you can turn around and just attack them as they come up. So, you know, having the fire flower definitely makes things a lot easier in this game. And, you know, these levels, you do have a lot of time to get through them, so you don't really have to rush your way through these stages. So something to keep in mind if you're having trouble with these games. So this is our second sort of memorization level. So we just went the correct route there, and for this one, I always forget which way it is. Let's see if we got it. Nope. Like, I want to say you come down here and then jump up. Nope. Yeah, despite, like, you know, going through this game probably a couple times a year, I always have an issue with World 7-4, the castle for World 7. And I always thought, I'm pretty sure you have to go the top path in some form or another. Oh, look at that, we just got it. And if I really wanted to, I could just go, ooh, look at that! That was awesome. That was YouTube worthy. I'm okay with that. I just slid right under him while I was ducking. And that's what I'm talking about. There's just so many different ways you can tackle different situations in this game. Like going under Bowser as large Mario is a tricky endeavor because you're larger. You won't clear him like you will as small Mario. But if you duck and you slide under him, you can do it like I just did. And it looks really awesome when you do it. So these coin blocks here, and it's funny, we're like towards the end of the game and I'm just now starting to explain stuff. Usually it goes the other way around. Those coin blocks that have multiple coins in them, basically what happens is, you have, I think it's a set time limit to basically bash out as many coins as you can. I don't know if it's a time limit or if it's like, if you stop attacking it repeatedly, it doesn't give you the option to attack it anymore. So there's like a certain threshold of coins you can collect, like a certain maximum that you can collect. And there's the minimum too. I mean, like if you hit it and then you stop, and then you wait a few seconds, you go back to hit it again, it might actually just go solid, and you will have only collected like 2 or 3 coins out of it. But if you bash it really quickly, rapidly, oops, got hit again. If you bash it rapidly, you'll get like, you know, 12 or 11 or you know, or 10 or whatever it is, 13, I don't know. You'll get a much higher amount of coins. And coins are points. Every coin you get is points on your score. And so if you're trying to play for a high score or something like that, if you're, you know, just trying to get your highest score ever, getting every coin definitely will make a difference. And so what I'm going to do here is just kind of skip over this stuff. And this right here is actually one of the trickiest jumps in the game. So what I'd like to do is just jump on this, hold B and right. B allows you to run. Super Mario Brothers, I basically will just hold B the entire time I play. I don't even think I ever take my hands off the B button when I'm playing this game. And that's what allows me to just, you know, rush through this game really fast. And so yeah, that pipe with the 2 small platforms, this 2 small blocks, you can actually just run across blocks like that if they're just, you know, 1 Mario width apart. So like if this block and this block had a gap in between, as long as I was holding the run button, I would just, you know, I would basically just, you know, run right over the gap without any issues. Pretty much 100% of the time. It's, you know, one of the many little subtleties of Super Mario Brothers that just makes it so much fun to play. There we go. You have a little bit of control in the air, so... And I had a feeling I was going to be able to... similar situation to earlier. There we go. So again, this is where having the fire flower really comes in handy, because then you can pick these guys off from a distance. And this fire flower is actually going to be really handy for the rest of this stage. See, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, and then that's it. So here's the block, like a coin block I was talking about. Let's wait a few seconds. Bam, see? I only got 2 coins from that. If I bashed it really fast, I would have gotten like anywhere between 10 and 13 or something like that. I don't remember what the exact number is, but I can probably count it out later. Where are we at? We at 36 minutes. Not too bad. 40-minute Let's Play. Would have been a little bit faster if I was going through the game a little bit quicker. I think yesterday's Let's Play actually would have been faster. And I thought about just trying to tackle the second loop while I was at it, but probably not going to do that. Wow, I'm really not paying attention. Whew, I picked a bad day to do a Let's Play. Okay, so this is another one of those ones where you gotta go the right way, and this is the pipe I always go through. And so I'll basically just show you the route I take. There might be multiple routes on this final castle here, and what we're gonna do is try to keep the fire flower. We've got some more cheeps flying from below, and we've got a water section. And this should be our last section, I believe. And the fire flower is insanely good for this bar right here, because there's that hammer brother waiting for you. And probably one of the worst jumps in the game, or worst sections of the game, because a lot of times you'll get to that and you'll be just either Big Mario or Small Mario with no fire flower. And it's really tough getting past the hammer brothers when you don't have a projectile weapon. So, wow, never realized how tall Mario was compared to the princess. I think they actually, like, flipped it in later Mario games. Like, the princess is, like, a tiny bit taller than Mario in future Mario games. It's kind of funny. They sort of flipped it. But yeah, that's Super Mario Brothers, guys. You know, I'm not going to go ahead and do the second loop. I apologize if this Let's Play was completely discombobulated. But, you know, it is what it is. Sometimes my Let's Plays are like this. I don't think I've had a Let's Play like this in a while, but, you know, for you guys that have been following me for a long time, you know, here's a blast from the past. A Let's Play that makes probably absolutely no sense, or I don't even talk about the game itself. But, you know, once again, thanks to the people supporting me on Patreon. By meeting our goal, it, you know, gave me reason to start covering Nintendo games again. Basically, it's giving me compensation for doing stuff that I'll spend time on, but I won't get anything back from, you know, financially. Ad revenue does help me, you know. It helps me. I put that money off to the side. It helps me buy equipment when I need it and things like that. So anything I can get financially from YouTube is fantastic. It really helps me continue to do this channel and post content to this channel without eating into my own very limited funds. My funds are very limited as of this video. Not as of this video, but as of recently, these recent years. So I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to doing more Nintendo content in the near future. It's not going to be like a weekly thing. It's probably going to be, I don't know, maybe once a month, once every other month, something like that. And a lot of their content I need to practice because I don't go back to them regularly. You know, like Legend of Zelda 1 and 2, I would need to practice again. Kid Icarus, I haven't finished in like 20 years, so, you know, stuff like that, it's going to require me to practice it on Twitch before I come and do a full playthrough on YouTube. But I am looking forward to doing more Nintendo content. There's definitely lots of great stuff I grew up with. Metroid is another franchise, for instance, I want to do Let's Plays on. I've had a lot of requests to do Super Metroid over the years, and so I definitely want to do that sometime. So, but yeah, I don't really. Oh man, I wanted to really like talk nostalgic with this game and this playthrough, which I did on my previous Let's Play that failed. But you know, it is what it is. Whatever. If you guys have any nostalgia for this game, Feel free to post your feel free to reminisce in the comment section below, and or feel free to drop a comment regardless, whether you were nostalgic about this game or not. So, but alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I want to say thanks for watching. If you're new to my channel, consider subscribing. I've got a lot of Let's Plays on this channel, and plenty more to come. Many more that are much more coherent than this one. So, but thanks for watching guys. I'll see you soon, and take it easy.